You made it through day 26, sis. Woo! This fast is literally breezing by. At this point, it's like a lifestyle. It's not even hitting me as hard as it used to. I still have my moments where I'm like, I just really want a warm honey bun with some ice cream on top, but I rebuke it and I keep moving forward. So hopefully you have a similar experience. And hey, if it's been tough for you, again, like I've been saying, don't beat yourself up. You have to congratulate yourself for even making it this far and trust that the Lord is continuing to work through you because he never stopped. So today I want to briefly talk about releasing the fear of man. You know, as I've gone through this fast, I've had different conversations. I've been seeking the Lord for myself. I realized just how common it is for us to people please without even realizing it. People pleasing and fear of man go hand in hand, and oftentimes they will lead you to a lifestyle that is not pleasing to God, a lifestyle that is subpar of the things that God really wants for you, a lifestyle that has you entertaining things and people that honestly are beneath you and not very becoming of you, just for the sake of appearing to be down to earth or getting the applause from people and being like, oh yeah, like they're so cool and they're so this, they're so that, and low key to stroke our egos. Because a lot of us, when we started people pleasing or we established this fear of man, it started from a young age. We wanted to get the applause from maybe our parents. We wanted to get the applause from maybe our peers and friend groups. We wanted to feel like, see, I matter. I'm special. Like these people approve of me. So I know I'm doing something right. And then somewhere along the line, if you weren't even noticing it or you weren't careful, it got all the way far gone to people pleasing, where you would literally do anything to get a round of applause from someone. You will literally do anything to get an affirmation from someone just to feel like, whew, okay, I got my hit for the day. It's literally like an addiction. And it led you down paths and into rooms and into relationships that you had no business being in, that honestly grieved God, because like I said, it was beneath what he wanted for you. Like God wants the best of the best for you. And he wants you to walk in that righteous confidence. He wants you to walk as the royal priesthood that you are. And a lot of times we, especially in the Christian faith, I mean, you ain't got to look far to see how much people bash us. And I mean, we have it light in America compared to other countries where Christianity is literally banned and you can lose your life behind it type of stuff. Like we have it pretty easy in comparison, and it's still like we get the brunt of it in ways like we're the butt of the joke. We're always seen as like, oh, you're judgy or this or that, or it's, they don't take all that, it's not that serious. And so in an environment like that, you can find yourself wanting to do anything to be the exception. Like, oh, well, I'm not like those other Christians. I'm not like everybody else and this and that, the third. I'm different. And we all are unique in our own ways. We all are called to minister to different people, or we resonate with different people, but we shouldn't be so different or aim to be so different that you are just completely off the rails of what the Christian faith really calls for. And so I just want to encourage you, as you finish off this fast and as we get ready to get back into our regular lives, so to speak, that you would really release the fear of man. Really take a moment and think about, like, what are areas of my life where I have been living for the applause of man. I've been living for my mom or dad to say good job, even if I know it was not what God was calling me to, or it's not what he agreed with, or it doesn't align with my convictions. I've been living for the applause of my friends and people that are my peers, so that they can be like, oh yeah, like he or she is so cool. They definitely are that person. Like, you know, we love them because they ain't like everybody else, but you know, you're watering yourself down. You know, you're watering down what God is really calling you to. Really stop and take an honest inventory of that, and just pray and ask God to help you to release that fear of man that's attached to those actions. Pray and ask God to give you a boldness in your faith that you don't care if someone is applauding you, because at the end of the day, man doesn't have a heaven to take you to or a hell to put you in. Like, they really don't. And so we use that a lot of times, again, to justify what we want to do. But it's like, let's have that mindset as far as like, God needs to be first and foremost and the end all be all. Like, it needs to be what he's telling me to do. It needs to be what he's leading me to. And I really don't need everybody to agree, because when he told me to do something, it wasn't a press conference. It wasn't like, hey, I need you to get everyone's approval. I mean, even on a simple scale, we do this even when it comes to, let's say, guys leading you to start a business and you waiting for everybody around you to applaud you and say, oh yeah, that's a great idea. It don't have nothing to do with them. God did not meet with them and say, what do y'all think? Like, no, he told you, sis. He said, hey, go ahead, do this. I've equipped you. If he called you to it, he's equipped you for it. So you don't need to get anyone else's opinion. You don't need anybody else to co-sign on anything if God really told you. So I just wanted to encourage you with that today, to continue to seek the Lord, continue to surrender yourself to the Lord. What does the Lord say? We don't care what man says. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have wise counsel around you and people that you know are wise, people that you know are like, they really, really have your best interests at heart. And they would even tell you to seek the Lord before you listen to them or run what they say by God. Like, that's good to have. We do need wise counsel. So there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying don't let the opinions and feelings and thoughts and words of man supersede what God is telling you. Even if that wise counsel is telling you something that doesn't align with what you know that God told you, then go with what God told you. And if they're wise counsel and solid counsel, they're not going to judge you for that. They will actually applaud you for that. Not that we're looking for their applause, but I'm just saying they will be like, yeah, that's what I would want you to do. I would want you to go with what God said above what I'm saying. This is just my perspective, but ultimately God is all knowing and you have to know God for yourself. This is why it's so important to understand the voice of God. And hopefully during this fast, you have fine-tuned knowing how God is speaking to you, or you've pinpointed it. Maybe you didn't know it before this fast, but I hope by now you've had a chance to really pinpoint how God speaks to you. And if you haven't yet, really, 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 I encourage you to really dive in and pray and ask the Lord to reveal himself to you and to heighten your discernment for when he's speaking to you and to recognize his voice and not your own. So that's all that I have for day 26. I'll talk to you for day 27. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of For My Sisters Rondelle podcast. Don't forget to keep the conversation going and use the hashtag For My Sisters Pod on social media so I can see you and show you some love. If there are any topics you'd like me to discuss on the podcast, be sure to email formysisterspodcast@gmail.com. I'll see you on the next episode. Love you. Bye.